A movie I think had a lot of anticipation around it was An American Pickle, dropped on HBO this past week, and starring Seth Rogen. It's the solo directorial debut from Brandon Trost, who's been a fairly frequent collaborator with Seth Rogen. Things like Neighbors and The Interview, or This Is the End. Also was the cinematographer for a lot of movies you've probably seen. MacGruber's probably one of the ones in there that has the most name recognition. Um, just before I guess we get too far into it, Seth Rogen as an actor, where are you at with him?
Uh, I mean, I loved Long Shot. That was a year ago, you know?
Right, but it's funny because I feel like if you had mentioned like Seth Rogen, like when Sausage Party came out, right? And
Hmm.
now I'm trying to think of when
That was like
when
2016, I think.
yeah, and Jobs was 2017, I believe.
Which
If
movie?
Jobs,
Like the
you
Steve Jobs
know,
movie?
where he played Wozniak.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
around that time. Yeah, 15, 16.
and if you had mentioned like Sausage Party or like This Is the End, I probably would have been like, he's fine, he's funny, he's in these like goofy like Judd Apatow like movies. Obviously, he's a product of Apatow all the way back from Freaks and Geeks. But he really has developed, I think, some really strong dramatic acting chops. And whether it's him as Wozniak or even in Long Shot, there's some moments where I think he really shines as not only just a comedic actor but just an actor in general. um, and I feel like he meshes this together pretty well in this film. But I feel like this film is kind of similar to Dominic Fike. I feel like it almost gets there but then falls short of it. Like, it almost says something about this but then kind of falls short, and it's a bit of a like social commentary that never, I think, fully reaches its potential. How did you feel about American Pickle? Did you feel like it said what it was trying to say?
Yeah, that's interesting because again, going in, it's like this is another movie that I didn't really like. I didn't watch the trailer for American Pickle. I just kind of knew that it was coming to HBO Max after Sony sold it. I was like, okay, cool. Seth Rogen vehicle, comedy vehicle, a little rarer than you'd think of late, which, as you've been saying, they're like kind of weird thing to think about. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm in. And this is on HBO Max, not part of that Warner Max film label,
Mm-hmm.
right? The union of HBO and Warner Brothers, even though they didn't actually make this movie. Yeah, but you go in like okay, it's gonna be a comedy, and like I didn't expect to have such heavier themes. Like I didn't expect that opening segment where we have that square aspect ratio and we
Mm-hmm.
have Herschel Greenbaum get married to Sarah Snook in black and white, and it's like, huh, this movie is about family, I guess. And you watch the movie, and it's like also little bits of coming back to your faith in Judaism. And it's like, wow, didn't think that was going to be in here either. It's actually a bit of a Jewish film. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then towards the end of the film, the third act, into the third act, we get this really modern and prescient topics, the discussion, I guess, of cancel culture and free speech and all these really in the consciousness talking points. And I'm like, wow, I again didn't really see this part coming either, but I still liked it. I thought the main premise I thought was pretty fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the most unrealistic thing to me, uh,
Was the pickling of the person?
well, besides that, it was like he's found there's this condemned building in New York City that was just completely undisturbed this whole time, where
Right.
his pickle brine was. I was like, this is New York City. Like that condemned building is still on a lot of land that's worth fucking who knows hundreds of thousands of dollars at least, right? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't realistic. But yeah, what I thought was hilarious the way they uh, wiped away the magical realism that was someone surviving being brined in pickle brine, right? Where it's like the scientist explained it, his logic was sound, everybody was satisfied. I was like, wow, that's a really smart way to write that.
Yeah. I thought that was good too. Yeah, I agree. I think when it touches on like family dynamics and things like that, the message gets across. I think where I felt like it didn't necessarily get to exactly what it was trying to say was when it was talking about things like cancel culture or talking or making fun of like Brooklyn hipster
Yeah.
culture and things
Wow.
like that.
Get your Williamsburg's jokes in. Those are
Right.
still new.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So those sort of things I don't think hit. I think the one political joke that really hit though was how he was saying all these absurd and ludicrous things, but the second he says anything about Christians and Jesus Christ, that's when like the mob comes after him, so to speak. I thought that was a
Yeah.
fairly interesting and astute joke. Um, but yeah, like I really felt like the movie kept coming to something that just didn't totally hit on, but I still found Seth Rogen so enjoyable in this dual role. Like, and it, the CGI and how they kind of put him together, and the acting of obviously acting across from somebody that they then spliced together. I thought it was just really impressive. Because it never really felt to me like, oh, these are two different people. I think there's like one shot where you see the younger Green Bomb walking ahead, and you can kind of tell it's not Seth Rogen in the shot. Like it's just
Yeah.
like the body double. But
Yep.
other than that, like it never really felt like, oh, that it's two separate people, or it's not Seth Rogen. So I thought that was pretty well done. And yeah, seeing Sarah Snook, dude, like good for her. Give Shiv all the roles.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, when you're watching, like, is this a bit role? She can come back somehow? Definitely not. She died. Makes sense.
Yeah, like everybody else during that time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny, like for a film that actually dabbles with a lot of themes and to various levels of effectiveness, I don't know. Like, I feel like I still don't have like a whole lot to share on it. It's like it's still pretty enjoyable, and it's nice to see Seth really command a comic film, even one that has some really dramatic undertones like this one. And I think I like the way it ended too. The way he, what's Herschel and what's Ben Greenbaum?
Yeah.
The way Ben gets like fucked at the end and actually gets deported, right? And you had the whole part with like Canada leading up to that. I was like, I actually really like the way this went, and then him finding his faith a little bit and coming to grips with his new situation, and then having Herschel go back and like switch places with him again. It's like I think it's somewhat moving, for again a movie you're going in not expecting that at all.
Yeah, I think that part felt a little bit formulaic because it's a bit like, all right, like the younger generation has to accept the older generation and vice versa. Like the way that Herschel gets out of it is by looking like Ben and going back and understanding what boop bop means instead of it just being this like silly name. Like it's about it's a commentary on how different times, different people of different generations need to try to understand each other and not just write each other off for, one being young or one being old. But I definitely think it worked. And it was only an hour and a half. It's a pretty quick movie. It moves at a brisk pace. There's not really a lot of fat on the bone, so to speak. I wouldn't even say that there's a lot of like setups. Like it kind of just is like plot driven comedy, I feel like. Which is a bit rare for a Seth Rogen movie. But yeah, it's funny because I was really looking forward to seeing this, and I expected to kind of be blown away. And I was just kind of like, that was satisfying, but not anything that I'm probably gonna like be telling people to watch necessarily.
Probably, I'd say light on the laughs, which is not something you want from a Seth film.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's not a long shot.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap up there. Actually, I think Long Shot's on HBO now. Pretty sure.
Something like that. It's on something.
I might go back and watch that.